So where'd you go to school, Jim?
Yeah, went to school to the good old Christian Brothers on Castlebar Street. It's now Dunstores, and when you were going to school to the Castlebar Street, you were always asked by the older people, were you upstairs or were you downstairs? If you were downstairs, you were in the national school. If you were upstairs, you were in the secondary school.
Well, you progressed, I assume. If you done the national, you went upstairs.
You went upstairs, yeah, but I have never heard it referred to as a primary school or a secondary school. It was, were you upstairs or were you downstairs? Now, downstairs there were three Christian brothers, and there were three lay teachers. That was kind of the downstairs thing.
Do you know their names? Can you remember their names?
Oh, I do, yeah. Way back, there was a brother Cummins. Of course, all the brothers were strangers to be transferred in here, and we used to have changes very frequently of brothers. Brother Cummins, he went away actually during World War II and he joined the Air Force, I believe. And we had a brother O'Mahony, of course, of musical fame. He was the man who started all the choirs, the boys' choir, and he always entered the choir for the diocesan choir get-together in Tuam every year.
Were you on it?
I was, yeah. I was in all those things. I was in the choir, yeah. And I remember Brother O'Mahony, how at those times, of course, you see, there were no facilities like for photocopying or all that sort of thing that you have today, photocopying and printing and all that. And he'd get the double brown sheet of paper, and with the handle of an in pen. The in pen had a wooden handle and an in nib. He'd turn it upside down and he'd pare the wooden handle and dip it in the ink and write on the brown paper. And he did all the hymns, which were in Latin at the time, and he did the score, the musical score, and the words printed out. And he'd have them rolled up on a stick, and them rolled up, and they'd be put on the top of the blackboard and rolled down, and he taught from them. And you practiced at least twice a week in school, and coming up to the choir get together in Tuam. There was a diocesan choir kind of get together every year in Tuam. You practiced every night in the monastery on Mill Street, which is now where the flats were. It's closed up at the moment. You went round the back and in the big French window, and it was like going back to school again. You were there at 6:30 in the evening, and you did what you were told. And there was up to 40 in the boys' choir, and he ruled the roost, and he had all the stuff written on the paper, and it printed out. He put a mammoth amount of work into it, and you practiced there until 9:30, and then you went home. And that was the same as going to school. You had to go down and go in. You didn't knock on the front door. You went down. You went in the back window, and you took your place in the choir, and that was it.
Did you enjoy it?
Ah, yeah.
You liked it, yeah?
What's that?
Did you like it?
We did.
You liked it, yeah.
I mean, it was great. Maybe at the time, you might have been thinking otherwise, but looking back on it, we got great musical training.
Yeah. Did you ever win the competition?
Well, you see, it was non-competitive.
Oh, yeah.
But there was recommendations as to, we always got a recommendation. We were always up there with the top of them. And even though we were only young fellas ourselves, and just knew what he was teaching us and that.
And who was the other brother there then? In the school?
In a minute now, you'd know that we had the edge on other choirs. He had that ability to teach music. He was good at it. And from what I heard afterwards, he was kind of self-taught himself, that sort of way. Yeah, we had a Brother Healy in there. Brother Healy must have been in Westport for over 20 years. And because I remember when I was in the lower classes downstairs, as we say, some of the older fellas on Altamount Street who would have left school and gone away, maybe came back on holidays, they would have been taught by him, and that had been gone for years, like, you know. He was a marvellous Christian brother. He had a marvellous method of teaching. Say, for instance, teaching history now. He rarely worked from the textbook. He had books of his own, and he had it all kind of summarised, all the high spots listed, and you had your pen and your copybook, and you took it down off the blackboard. And, you know, even today, you could kind of remember what you learned from him. It was taught so well. Like, you know, say his period at the time, he was teaching from, say, 1600 to the present day, which would be the 40s, you know. And I remember it started off, Honig John Don June Della Quella on Spawn the Gowr na Herny, Hugna Sassany Fui, Mount Joy August Carew a V Ganisorha. You know, I mean, it was printed indelibly on your mind. You know, the stuff that he taught you. He was dead on for penman, for writing, for panerucht. All you could hear was panerucht, which was penmanship. Your writing had to be perfect. Everything had to be spot on. The way he taught. Came up to geometry at the time, you know, you really would remember. And at that time, the primary certificate had the same subjects as the intermediate and the leaving certificate. It was the long primary. You had English, Irish, algebra, geometry, and maths, and you had history. Did I say that? We had the full complement, and they abridged it in years later just down to English, Irish, and mathematics. But during that period, you had to take the whole lot of it. It was the long primary, they called it at the time.
Was that a better way? It was.
I think it was, really, because it kind of prepared you for when you went up to the secondary school. You had a better grounding in all these things, because you had to learn them, because you knew you had an examination. But no, I see today they're going to abolish all the examinations. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Were the schools tough that time, were they?
Oh yeah, there was corporal punishment that time. Like, you had, there were sanctions.
Oh, yeah.
If you didn't toe the line, you knew what you were all about, and the leather was used. I wouldn't say it wasn't used profusely. I'd say that might be too strong a way now to put it, but.
Did you like the Christian Brothers? You did.
Ah, yeah.
I gather you did.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, looking back on it, like, you know, those men, they gave of their all. You know, they gave of their all, really. You know, for scholarship classes now and that, they brought guys up to the monastery on a Saturday half day, teaching maths and teaching Irish in particular, and maths.
Additional stuff, yeah?
Additional stuff, yeah. I mean, going through it and revising it and additional stuff and that. And that was all free of charge, like. There was no charge.
It was voluntary, yeah.
So it was voluntary, yeah. So, I mean, they really worked hard, and they gave of their all. And by and large, there were exceptions here and there, like, we won't emphasise the exception, but by and large they were great guys.
Did you sample the corporal punishment?
Oh, I did, of course. Oh, why wouldn't I? Sure, if you stepped out of line, you got a belt straight away, like.
And you resent it now?
I don't really. I don't really. As a matter of fact, I think we were better guys, because we were made toe the line. And I mean, the liberal agenda has failed. Everybody must admit the liberal agenda has failed, and failed miserably. And I think we were better. We were the better for it, because if you stepped out of line, you knew you stepped out of line, and there was sanctions. Now today there are no sanctions. I mean, you know, there's no guidelines today, and you know, you wouldn't blame Gossers really for going off the rails, really. But in our case, you got a couple of slaps, and that was it, and you took them and put up with it and that sort of thing. Everybody got the same, like, you know.
And did you go upstairs then?
Oh, did you? Up the leaving cert, yeah.
You done the leaving cert,
yeah. Yeah, but you got a clip up there too, like.